Dzień za dniem, noc za nocą. Nasze życie upływa pod bezkresnym niebem. Szukamy w nim odpowiedzi na wiele pytań, obserwując jego ogrom. Marzymy o rzeczach wielkich, ale życzymy sobie rzeczy prostych. Staramy się znaleźć czas na wszystko. A czasem wszystko jest kwestią chwili. Bywa, że jesteśmy gdzieś kilka chwil przed czasem. A bywa, że poświęcamy lata na realizację naszych marzeń. Myślami wybiegamy do przodu, ale jesteśmy świadomi, że życie toczy się tu i teraz. Błękit nieba pobudza naszą wyobraźnię i sprawia, że wszystko na ziemi staje się wyjątkowe. Spoglądamy w niebo z dobrego miejsca na ziemi.
Widzisz? Z każdym rokiem zmieniają nasze życie. Wiesz, co to? Podpowiem ci. Dzięki nim nie muszę robić 7-milowych kroków, by szybko i wygodnie dotrzeć do celu. Mówiąc prosto z mostu, bez nich trudno byłoby mi znaleźć się na drugim brzegu. Sprawiają, że sięgam gwiazd, nie ruszając się z miasta. Pozwalają mi złapać wiatr w żagle. Ich obecność każdemu wychodzi na zdrowie. Dlatego wszystko u nas gra. Kolej na ciebie. Czy już wiesz, o czym mowa? To jasne jak słońce. To wszystko dzięki funduszom europejskim. Razem z nimi zmieniamy region dla ciebie.
we have only now only 4 person. Okay. Okay, maybe I start first, then if there's no one, the Maria Smotrinsky coming later after me. Yes? Oh, yeah. I have preparation for today, another topic, because the China after COVID-19, that's I think is not ready the result now, which one I can suggesting to you. I suggesting to you another topic: Russia's military cooperation with China in the last decade of the 20th century. In Russian-Chinese relation, the aspect of mutual military relation, it is also important. The article will focus, and my speech in particular, on the 1990s. This cooperation is part of a strategic partnership. At that time, relations were improved, and this was the only stable element in the trade. On the other hand, it should be emphasized that the sphere relating to these relationships is difficult to research due to the acquisition of certain materials and the verification of the reliability. However, the framework for cooperation can be described and sufficiently explored in this subject. The background to this analysis may be the words of the Henry Kissinger, who wrote that Chinese leaders insisted on the difference between the Chinese and Russian models, most notably the Gorbachev model. Gorbachev's actions were considered in Beijing to be inadequate. According to the Chinese, political reform may have been needed over time, but it had to be preceded by economic reform. When Kissinger visited China in 1992, Jiang Chigen described the collapse of the Soviet Union as an explosion, after which shock waves diverged in all directions. In 1991, when the Communist Party did not play a decisive role anymore, and before anyone could say glasnost, the Soviet satellite states, as many of them in China's backyard as that of the Russian West, had rushed off to an impatient independence, leaving China to deal with a host of rebellious Central Asian dreams in the neighboring province of Xinjiang. And although in Beijing the end of the Cold War was adopted with a mixture of relief and fear, and they were content with the collapse of the Soviet adversary. On the other hand, they compared the disintegration of the Soviet Union to internal threats in his own country. As a result of this and other reflections, it was considered that cooperation was an important element in strengthening cooperation with the Russian Federation in a new version. The arms trade is at the foremost and most important place. Russia sold weapons to China that they could not buy from either the US, France, or Germany. Following the events in Tiananmen Square, President George Bush announced a halt to arms sales to China. The European countries did the same. The World Bank announced that it blocked loans granted to China so far. 5 billion Hong Kong dollars were withdrawn from the Bank of China. Nevertheless, no country has served diplomatic relations with the Republic of China. In Russia, on the other hand, corporate debt and the lack of the new orders led to the search for the new markets to keep jobs. So exports and trade with China have proved to be a way out of a difficult situation. Between 1992 and 1999, the military industry produced 2 ships for domestic order and 11 for export, 31 tanks for domestic market and 433 for export, and 7 aircraft for the country and 278 for export. As regards employment, it should be pointed out that in 1 year around 400,000 people were employed in this industrial sector. A significant part of the export were destined for China. At that time, the Russians were particularly very open to sell to China as much as possible. Even the symbol of national pride, Su-27, became a product for export, despite the official kind of control during Yeltsin's time. There was chaos in this regard, especially as far as 1992 is concerned. It is not known exactly what was sold and in what quantity. Companies even sought their own control and refund from China for the goods sold in order to have some money for withdrawals and future investment. Despite the Atlantic course of the Foreign Minister Kozyriev, decision makers have stuck to cooperation with China. An additional aspect of maintaining this relation was the normalization of relations with China in 1989. Moreover, lobbyist Arkady Polski, as head of this complex and chairman of the Russian side of the Community and Peace, Friendship and Development, has just sought to strengthen cooperation with China. Boris Yeltsin himself in the 1992 recognized the need to squeeze foreign currency for the maintenance of the defense industry. Despite the obvious difficulties, Russia has been very technologically involved in arms production, has become a natural partner of China in the arms trade. In addition, weapons from Russia were not expensive and flexible payment methods were possible. In the 1990s, Russia was the largest supplier of weapons to China. According to the ASDA, between 1992 and 1997, China purchased weapons for $4.145 billion, of which $3.9 billion were Russia's. Western sources calculate that between 1991 and 1996, this indicator, however, around 5 billion American dollars. Russia's concerns were that the sale of weapons and aircraft and over-equipment of major defensive importance could turn against Russia in the future. Therefore, its latest models were kept secret and sales were maintained in the ratio of 70 to 30 in favor of Russia. Defense Minister Pavlich Grachov stated in 1995 that the Chinese wanted to capture the Russian Far East peacefully, and Igor Rodionov even spoke about potential enemies of Russia's. In Russia itself, few different industries has opted for the sale of equipment to China, while military officers have been in favor of restricting the transfer of the latest technology. Nevertheless, it should be stressed that Russia had at least a 15 years technological advantage over China. However, the most important motive for sales in the decade of the 1990s was the funds of China. On the other hand, China's commitment to Taiwan and the South China Sea has been visible. Well, I have the more text in the article, but I would like to go now to the summary conclusion. In conclusion, the decade of the 1990s was successful in terms of Russia's trade with China. Trade and cooperation began once with the collapse of the Russia, which no longer posed a threat to China from the north. Russia, on the other hand, needed trade to maintain jobs, so there were typically economic factors. In the new reality of the 1990s, Yeltsin's rule in Russia was not easy. Therefore, mutual cooperation is always the result of mutual interest. However, despite the trade, it was not decided to boldly cooperate more with the latest Russian technologies. The trend of cooperation between Russia and China continues and is deepening. The decades of the 21st century could provide future room for scientific research. Thank you for the attention. I would like to say again, sorry because I used another computer, another connection. I have to because of some problem technological with my new computer. And now I would like to invite you and give the voice Maria Smotrycka, please.
Hello, good afternoon from China. Well, good evening, sorry, from China. It's afternoon in Europe, it's evening in China. So my name is Maria Smotrycka. I'm from International Institute IFIMES, which is located in Vienna, in Austria. And today I want to highlight the topic about Belt and Road Initiative and also greening of Belt and Road Initiative and in general Eurasian transshipment lines. I will not read the whole article. I'll just make a shortcut and sum up because I want to make it like within 10 minutes. So let me please introduce my topic. Climate change is one of the biggest challenges of our times. It is already happening, and that's why we all should ask ourselves how we could answer the fundamental challenge of global warming. The core issue is decarbonization, and today I'm going to talk about the link between the development of transportation lines, which is I will talk about like in terms of Belt and Road Initiative, and solution of the problem of global warming. It should be taken into account that the most inhabited part of the world and also the largest landmass of the globe is Eurasia. Thus, it is the largest emitter and has the most polluted part of the world as well. But we cannot leave it as it is right now. Also important to understand that the biggest countries producers, which is China, and also the countries consumers, which is most of the time is West Europe, are located on the edge of Eurasia. These countries drives world economy and may play the crucial role in improvement environmental standards in the whole Eurasia. Transportation logistic between Far East, I'm talking in terms of China, and also Western Europe is vital for world's economic development. But today, unfortunately, we don't have reliable technologies and transportation lines, especially in a Russian part and Far East. Due to this, it is necessary to think on few aspects which may determine the development of environmentally friendly economies in our near future. First of all, it is reliable transportation, which is safe and environmentally friendly. It is the cheapest mode of transshipment lines, as well as the fastest mode of transportation. Nowadays, one of the fastest and most reliable modes of transportation is railway. It has certain advantages compared to air and maritime transport in terms of regularity, reliability, and also ability to deliver cargo to any destination. Underlining the reliability of railway transshipment lines in terms of friendly environmental standards, it is assumed that carrying a shipping container using diesel trains would result in smaller amount of greenhouse gases emissions compared to air and maritime transport. However, the emissions from electric trains could be lower, possibly even falling to zero if they are powered entirely by renewable sources. This suggests that using a railway mode, the Eurasian transshipment lines, which in my speech, I'm talking about Belt and Road initiatives, are likely to be beneficial for the environment in near future. While in theory, the implementation of railway electrification and the use of renewable energy sources can reduce greenhouse gas emissions, perhaps even to zero, in practice, unfortunately, electrification can take ages, which our planet is unlikely to have. It's most likely it will be implemented within China, because in China right now we are using a lot of environmentally friendly transport, but in the whole Eurasia to implement this strategy is quite complicated. This fact makes us think about other possible modes of transportation that are both convenient in terms of regularity, speed, and accuracy of delivery, and beneficial for the environment. Thus, the cheapest mode of transportation is by the sea, but it also has, unfortunately, some pros and cons. The warm water transshipment line, which we use right now, which is going through the Strait of Malacca and Suez Canal from China to Port of Rotterdam in Netherlands, today has great logistic prospects. So currently, approximately 80% of cargo from China to Europe goes through the Atlantic Ocean to the ports of Northern Europe. Thus, the warm water shipment line can reduce the transport time by 7-10 days approximately. This is so far the shortest sea road from China to Europe. However, to use it in full capacity, some regions of the Eurasia, especially Central East Europe, has to modify and improve infrastructure. It is very important for Balkan Peninsula and also Ukraine because of the numerous conflicts within that area. So being the cheapest so far mode of transportation, unfortunately, this traditional maritime transshipment line present big dangers, which are making these lines rather vulnerable and less stable than railway road. The low cost and high degree of safety compared to transportation by land, which I refer to railway road, has led to increased numbers of commercial fleets over the past decades. Thus, the biggest challenge is the problem of high level of congestion in warm waters. Currently, there are several maritime zones of bottlenecks in the world ocean, which is Strait of Malacca and Singapore, South China Sea, which is very problematic right now in terms of conflictology. I'm sorry. The Strait of Bab el-Mandeb, Strait of Hormuz, also the Suez Canal, and we know, like in March, there was an accident in Suez Canal which literally stopped for a few days international trade through the sea, which was very dangerous and very expensive. Also, Strait of Gibraltar and Bosporus and Dardanelles. So by considering other alternatives today, taking into account the melting of the ice in Arctic Ocean, we can talk about the emergence of another alternative to the main transcontinental roads, which is Arctic Silk Road, or cold water transshipment lines in the ice-free areas. So basically, there are three possible roads we can consider: the Northwest Passage, the Northern Sea Road, and the Arctic Bridge. Geographically, the position of North waterways is very beneficial since they are making the distance between China and Europe shorter by approximately 40% in comparison to traditional maritime transport routes via Suez and Panama canals. Yes, it is understandable that for now the Arctic Bridge is a seasonal road. Nevertheless, the observations show that it might be in reach earlier than expected due to the climate change. In terms of logistics, the cold water shipment line or Arctic Silk Road will allow to deliver cargo to West Europe from China by sea faster than 48 days, which is an average amount of days to deliver through this goods from China to West Europe through the Suez Canal. The criteria of reliability also plays a positive role. In regards with environmental issue, we can see that if maritime service loses the most time-sensitive cargo to railway, they may in practice sail their ships slower, extending transit time and reducing fuel cost, and hence prices and decreasing greenhouse gas emissions. In addition to timeframe criteria, cold water shipment line or Arctic Silk Road is beneficial in terms of capacity. It is usually characterized as the shortest sea road between Europe and China, and hence the fastest one, the safest one, taking into account the problem of Somali pirates in Indian Ocean, and has no restrictions on the size of the ship, unlike the roads through the Suez Canal. Thus, the Arctic Silk Road line will allow to deliver cargo from China to Europe faster by this year, reducing the road by approximately 20–30%, and hence being more environmentally friendly by using less fuel and decreasing greenhouse gas emissions, and saving also human resources. Nevertheless, to capitalize on this opportunity requires much work in terms of improved navigation procedure, especially within the Northern Sea Road, which is right now used mainly by Russian Federation, and also installation of safety-related infrastructure. Thus, it can be seen that for now, the most beneficial in terms of time frame is railway road through the Eurasia from China to Europe, which is 6 corridors of Belt and Road Initiative, and also it is beneficial due to the fact that the current traditional maritime road, or the road through the Suez and Panama Canal, delivery time speed remains rather low. This gives certain advantages to the Arctic Silk Road transshipment line, though, in terms of time frame, regularity, and procedures of the delivery. In conclusion, I just wanted to underline that it is vital to understand that thinking on global warming issue, we should consider all the possible ways to decrease greenhouse gas emissions and overcome this challenge. Actually overcome two challenges. The first challenge is unreliable transportation lines, and second challenge is global warming. We can no longer continue to live in denial of climate change and its impact on our lives and the future of our generations. So thank you very much for your attention. If I have any, if you have any questions, you can ask me. I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Can you stay on video now? I have just a question to Beata and Malvina. Do you have some question to Maria?
No.
No. Okay. Thank you very much, Maria, for your very good speech, your presentation. Very interesting for me. Did you been in Torun in the past?
Unfortunately, right now I cannot leave China. I wanted to go to Poland, honestly, because I'm myself from Krakow, my parents from Krakow. But due to the pandemic, we cannot leave China because the borders are closed. So I have no choice but to stay in China and work in China right now. But when I'll have the opportunity, I'll definitely will come.
You are still in China, yes?
Yeah, it's already my 5th year in China, but for the last 3 years, I haven't been living in China most of the times because of the pandemic. As I said, border are closed, and Chinese government is very strict in terms of travels and COVID. And yeah,
probably the China is very restrict, like Australia now.
The most interesting thing that I'm from Wuhan initially. So for me, it's even more complicated to leave China. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Wuhan, I know one professor, which is always participant to Congress in Torun. He was in Wuhan, but many years ago. He's lucky it's not Wuhan now, not anymore.
Yeah. I mean, China is safe, just it's very strict in terms of COVID. So that's the only problem why we cannot leave China.
Yeah. But you are, I don't understand from the beginning, you are original from Ukraine?
Yeah, initially, I'm half Polish, half Ukrainian, but yeah, I live in China currently because I work in China, and so.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you a lot.
Thank you for your attention, your speech, and I would like to ask you. We have another speakers for today. No more people, no more speakers. Oh, very sad. Czas po... Ja się zwrócę teraz po polsku. Pani Beato, skąd Pani jest? Niech Pani chociaż się przedstawi, powie nam, czy Pani jakieś pytania ma, czy jest.
Nie. Ja jestem tylko słuchaczem tutaj z Torunia i uczestniczę po prostu we wszystkich tych zdalnych sesjach jako matka na urlopie macierzyńskim, więc tu w tle pewnie Świnka Pepa i inne bajki lecą. Za bardzo nawet nie chciałabym się wypowiadać, bo tutaj
Dobrze.
dwójką dzieci jestem w tle.
Ale Pani studiuje też na UMK?
Nie, ja pracuję na Uniwersytecie Wrocławskim jako adiunkt i zajmuję się na co dzień Indiami i miałam tutaj wcześniej swoje wystąpienie o dzieciach ulicy w Kambodży.
Aha. Czyli Pani zdalnie, Pani fizycznie nie była na kongresie tam?
No właśnie nie, ze względu na to, że mam 4-miesięcznego synka, pierwszy raz skorzystałam z tej możliwości, żeby zdalnie uczestniczyć, ale zazwyczaj jako torunianka uczestniczę fizycznie i jeszcze przed Kongresem Azjatyckim, jak to była konferencja międzynarodowa, to też wtedy występowałam. A teraz no niestety moje obowiązki macierzyńskie połączone z pandemią nie pozwoliły mi uczestniczyć w wydarzeniach.
Pani Beato, ja od wielu lat na konferencje do Torunia jeździłem, chyba od 4. czy może 3. konferencji międzynarodowej na wszystkie i no, miałem teraz wyjazd do Rosji w maju 2 lata temu, jak jeszcze nie było pandemii, i jeszcze raz to nie byłem chyba na 2, na ten kongresie fizycznie, ale tak w Toruniu regularnie jestem, więc gdzieś tam może żeśmy się też może widzieli, nie byliśmy świadomi. A w tym roku wybrałem tą formę, żeby łączyć się z domu, bo ja na Uniwersytecie w Poznaniu pracuję, więc nie przyjeżdżałem, no ale może to wszystko wróci w przyszłym roku do normy.
Mam taką nadzieję.
Tak. No, nas mało było w tym panelu. 4 osoby, 2 osoby nie ma, no ale odnotuję, że pani Maria była. Ja też tutaj wystąpiłem. Także no, będziemy musieli ten panel wobec tego powoli tutaj zakończyć. Once again, thank you, Maria, and I wish you all the best, and I wish you maybe we meet together next year in Toruń, Poznań.
Thank you a lot for inviting me, and I do hope that I will come to Europe at least next year. So thank you, have a good day, and
Yes, thank
let's
you.
keep in touch.
No more speakers. Yes, no more speakers. We have to finish now.
Yeah, I can see it, unfortunately, but what can we say?
Yes.
It's okay, thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Pani Beato, do widzenia również. Do widzenia.
Do widzenia. Dziękuję. Do zobaczenia za rok.